Hi, topic for now is, as one of the viewers requested, multiple kit builds. Just looking at practical aspects and handling of building many models at once. Before I dive into that, I'll just show you a couple of models. A grant that I did some time back with the chipping method, which I quite liked. I mean, there's a lot more one could do with weathering on it, but it looks okay. I'm happy enough with it. And I was thinking about my Tiger One the other day, and I couldn't remember if I'd actually done my early version, the original release. And I found it now in the cabinet, and I'm quite happy with that for the early one, because I've got a later one, and this is a really simple build. This is Tamiya's earliest armor. I'm really happy with that. I didn't have a Tiger One in the cabinet, and I'll do a nicer one. So this was just playing around with a variety of techniques. The purist will of course say, well, that's not exactly the way you'd find a Tiger One. It's okay, I'm happy with it in my cabinet like that. And this nice fresh gloss black Hurricane, and I specifically did do it in gloss black because the box art looks so nice. And many of the warbirds are somewhat heavily weathered, and I just wanted something absolutely pristine, and I'm very happy with that. Now it's very dusty because of the dilemma that I have with models being everywhere, not in cabinets because there's too many models for cabinets, which is a little bit of a problem of building a lot of models and maybe not having enough cabinet space. I have seen modelers with rows and rows and rows and rows and rows, rooms full of rows of glass shelves, or not glass, and I can't do that. I don't even want to just continue getting more cabinets. So what I have is where stuff can be, and I'm a little bit of a bad organizer, so at stages like right now my cabinets were not in a very good state. One of the viewers requested to have a view of the cabinets at some stage. Maybe that'll happen if I can just get myself organized, which I'm going to try and do, which means various things need to get back in shelves. Things that shouldn't have been in the shelves must get out. So I must sort of have more of a half-built section and the fully built section, or almost fully built. This Hurricane is still missing its canopy. I am trying to get more organized, and it's this weird balance that needs to happen between the semi-chaos of building a lot of things at once compared to the really, really pristine views that I see with people's building space and layouts and stuff on Facebook, where the desk area and the work area is absolutely beautiful. That is just not the way things happen with me. But I need to find a slightly better balance. So if you are one of those builders who mostly have been building one at a time and you'd like to build more, or if you have in fact actually been building many at once, many of the viewers have actually said that they do build a lot at once. A few of the considerations around my experiences. The smaller ones that can actually fit in a reasonable sized box like this makes life easier. So as soon as you're getting to boxes that are double the size, big 1/48 jets or whatever the case is, you start limiting your ability to pack these boxes in progress onto a shelf. My ideal is a shelf that can have about 10 of these size boxes next to each other and in the open state, because I want to see in each box, as I'm looking at where I am, I'm seeing, okay, well, that one needs a little bit more there, and so on. The more visibility I have of these models, the more likely I'm keeping mentally in touch with them, knowing what was the next step, what pieces I'd like to batch paint. I have got slightly in the habit of having other trays for painting, so if many parts were waiting for black, they'll go into the black painting tray. To do that, you must of course know what parts belong to what, because if you're going to forget or be confused when you need to re-establish what was this spinner for, what was this prop for, what were these wheels for, if you're going to struggle with that, then I guess don't do that. In general, I don't have much problem with that. I've come to know the kits so well, or at least the nature of what parts belong on what type of aircraft, so I can do that. I mean, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'll have painted things and I don't really know which kit they go back to. And then when I pull the kit out, I'll be looking at the pictures and go through the various wheels that I've painted and realize, okay, it's obviously those because it couldn't be any of the others. So shelf space. Now, you know, a lot of bookshelves have got fairly deep distances between shelves, or at least the size of a fair paperback. And for these boxes, sometimes you can, you know, reshelf the thing to give you a better density of boxes in there, which I certainly have done and continue to do, and it's still cluttered to the max. You know, double packed, triple packed boxes, which sort of removes that visibility that you're trying to get. So, and keep in mind that when I start with these, it's not like I'm, okay, right, these 10 or 15 kits is what I'm building all at once now. It's more like it's just a gradual process that happens. I was working on this. Oh, I'd love to look at this. Might as well glue these halves together. Oh, but this reminds me of that kit. And so it's just a flow-on effect of everything. So gradually, there's just all of these in progress. Now, they're not all equally in progress. It's not like on my desk, there are 10 models which get a little bit of sequenced work on them. It's more like I have the 10 available for me to see, ready, and depending how your building energy is on any particular day, you might have wanted to get to painting, you might have not had the energy to do any gluing, but maybe a bit of cleanup of parts, and so you just choose the appropriate thing. I'm often doing cleaning up of parts as the sort of more, the less energy intensive one, because you can almost just, you know, sit and watch something while you're also cleaning parts or sanding, or if you've done your filling and it's dry and you're just sanding a joint. I mean, I don't mean seriously watching, I just mean something's on in the background. And when I'm painting, then I might be looking at, okay, I've set this batch aside, great, I can do this batch, get that drying, and what's the next step now? Do I want to do another batch of painting, pull out the next tray that was ready? And I'm not always ready. It's not like this is a hyper organized system. I'm like, okay, I wanted to paint silver now. Oh, I don't have enough parts that are silver. I need to clean a few more parts. So it just happens. The desk does get cluttered. It's another area I need to address. I'm not entirely happy with the way I can absolutely clutter up a desk in very short time, and I often clean it, and a week later it's just the same. But that's the nature of building many things at once. So you've got to keep control of your shelf. You've got to keep control of your desk, which means putting things back into the box that you were busy with. So this little one The Fairy Fulmar is one that I really like to get to. It's one of Airfix's actually quite good quality little kits. And if I've got all the parts on the desk, which inevitably this one has been, and then back into a little bag and back into the box because I've overloaded myself. Too many things. I'm not really getting anywhere. Thin it down again. Right, let's get to the motorbike parts that I wanted to work on. And so it's like this rise and drop where, okay, sometimes you're working on a few more, you've got the parts spread out, then you need to pack a bit away, take out that one, work on that. And I'm not doing it just because I want to work on multiple kits at once. I'm doing it simply because I have an active mind that gets bored with these particular parts that I know so well, and I want to see how that particular aeroplane is now put together. Or I want to see what would this ship entail. Getting my mental energy around the thing. Currently, I've also got a couple of 148th Phantoms on the go, and it's a big Hasegawa box. 3 of them actually. And the demand mentally of what this is going to entail is a lot. And so then I go and de-sprue the whole lot, look through it and decide, well, I don't want to do stores. So all of the external stores, let's take that out. How much is related to cockpit only? Right, I actually would like to do an undercarriage up version. Let's thin this out. Wing halves together, couple of halves together, and soon this thing is a huge lot simpler than you initially think. So much so that that big box doesn't need to be used. You can now actually pack the 148th Phantom's parts into here, except for the airframe, which is now starting to take place. So you start having these boxes of bits, and you've got a place where you need the airframes, which are now developing. So ideally you've got a shelf space for parking the aeroplanes, parking the models, tanks, whatever it is, and possibly sometimes even sub-assemblies of things, but usually they can go back into the box. If you were busy on one of them and you've gone some ways into it and it's on the shelf and you sort of losing the energy for that thing, close it up, put it back on, package it, whatever, wrap it in plastic, take it away there. You don't need to force yourself to do that. I mean, that's my philosophy. I don't need to force myself to finish that just because I started it. I can come back to it. And there are many such things that I do and don't. Some end up for years, some end up coming back sooner than you think. Some end up some don't end up coming back, not because you didn't want to get to it, but because others, which are really interesting at the moment, are just consuming all of your time. That's fine. You do often need to clean up the desk, apart from the fact that you're just cluttering it. It is good to just clean it up from the dust when you're decalling, so that you don't get any little plastic sandings or dust in your area. I think that covers a lot of the practical aspects around that. I sometimes am busy with variations. So if I was busy on one, I'll be busy on another one of exactly the same thing. And then it's sort of it's beneficial. You did something on one and you're learning about aspects of the model or about aspects of the real aircraft. And you're sort of getting a faster build rate because your current knowledge on that is now applicable to both of them. I think that covers it. If you've got specific questions, just put them in the comments and I can address it in a second video. My particular way is that I really like looking at a car, a bike, an aeroplane, a helicopter, a ship, and then I feel like, okay, that ship is going to be too much, pack that away, but this helicopter made me think of another one. And sometimes like I'm busy on this. I finished that CX500 Turbo. I'm supposed to be building the GSX 750, which I am slowly, but just as a wind down from the bike, I'm now suddenly looking at and cleaning parts on a few other kits. And I need to break that attention focus on those. I've looked at them, that's great. I've got my mental reward for that. Put them aside again and get back to the GSX 750. A motorbike is a different energy in your build process than a tank, than an aeroplane, etc. Tanks are quite nice. I do find tanks to be of the nicest to build continuously. So the likelihood is that if I started an armored vehicle, I'll finish the armored vehicle in one go. And I am planning on doing a Panzer II. It's quite a small one and it's not very complicated, because I haven't, this Tiger might be my second last one, I think, that I've done, and that's already a few years back. So I am due for a good tank, even though the Panzer II is a bit of a small one. Okay, well, put your comments in. I'm going to do another video just now, but I'll tell you about that one shortly. Right, cheers.